Hey, welcome to the Joe Scarborough podcast. It's great to have you here with me. I hope you're doing well today. I got Mika coming up in about 15, 20 minutes. She's going to tell the story about how she once met Deng Xiaoping in her Virginia home and how things ended disastrously for Mika, Deng Xiaoping, and U.S.-China relations. I think they were patched up later in a dinner that they were having, but we'll get to that in a little bit. It'll be told to you as only Mika can tell it to you. She's not feeling really well right now, so hopefully she'll be able to come through for us in a little bit and tell you that story. It is a fascinating one, to say the least. But first, I want to talk to you about something really personal to me and something I've been dealing with for quite some time. I've spent my adult life telling people that their politics were personal to them, telling them that my friendship with them, my love for them was completely independent of politics. And throughout my life, I've been friends with liberals and moderates, conservatives. I've always been able to separate politics from friendship, politics from family, because I know people believe what they believe. And I hope that once in a while in conversations that I have with my friends and family members, I hope that maybe sometimes I can move them a little bit my way on an issue. Maybe other times they'll teach me something about what they believe and why they believe it, and it'll have an influence on me. And it'll either move me more in their direction or at least round out my own beliefs. As I've said to you before on this podcast, I've spent a hell of a lot of time telling people that everything was going to be okay. If Republicans were in power, I would tell my Democratic friends, just relax. There are elections every 2 years. If Republicans overreach, well, democracy's great. We'll see it balanced out in 2 years. I've said the same to my family, to my mom especially. Whenever Democrats would win, especially the White House, I'd tell her, relax, Mom. You know, there's another election 2 years from now. If Bill Clinton or Barack Obama or somebody else goes too far, there will always be a leveling wind. And that's called the midterm elections. And I've been proven right. I've been proven right time and again. If Republicans go too far right, then Democrats win midterm elections. If Democrats go too far left, Republicans always seem to win midterm elections, like the one I won in 1994, like what we saw in 2010, like what we may see again next year. There's always that balance. There's always that equilibrium. That's the genius of the American system. The last 4 or 5 years have obviously presented some new challenges that we haven't seen in our lifetimes. And since most of my family and most of my friends voted for Donald Trump, I've just made a deal with them. And I said, listen, I'm never going to agree with you and your support for Donald Trump. You're never going to agree with me and my opposition to Donald Trump. So when we talk to each other, when we text each other, when we email each other, let's just do this. Let's not talk politics. Let's talk baseball or Alabama football, or if you want to talk about the kids or the grand, let's just do that. I think that's better for all of us. And that's worked. That's actually worked with almost all of my friends and my family members. There is an exception, though. I have a couple of friends from Alabama that I went to college with in Alabama. Dear friends who have been friends since college. And they insist on continuing to send me texts and emails defending Donald Trump and attacking anybody in the Biden administration. And I keep sending back emails saying, you don't understand. I keep sending back texts. Please, let's talk music. Let's talk Alabama football. Let's talk anything, but don't talk politics. And yet they continue. And so I got one earlier today on General Milley, and I'm not revealing their names. I've got a ton of friends from Alabama. I have a ton of friends from the university that I knew there, and so I'm not revealing anybody's name. But I do want to share with you what I wrote to them. I emailed them back today because I got this this diatribe about how what General Milley did was unpatriotic and un-American, and how dare he undercut his commander-in-chief. That line is breathtaking, by the way, that anybody could say that. What would our enemies think of us? What would our enemies think of us? You bow and scrape to Donald Trump, and you're asking what would our enemies think of us because General Milley did what he did. Well, anyway, I want to share the letter. And I said I'm at a total loss as to what hearing you were watching. What General Milley did is done regularly by generals, admirals, secretaries of state, ambassadors, CIA directors, and on and on and on. There are, of course, extreme versions of it, like what Henry Kissinger did in 1973 and 1974 when he was talking to foreign leaders on behalf of Richard Nixon. But what Milley did doesn't come close to that. Again, as someone who sat on the Armed Services Committee, who has studied the interagency process for 30 years, and also knew that Pompeo, Trump's chief of staff Mark Meadows, the Secretary of Defense, the CIA director, and others in the interagency process were informed of Milley's actions immediately, I just wonder, what in the world are you looking at? Does this sound condescending? They accuse me of being condescending. I said, like, my responses when I get conspiracy theories that are dredged up by Chinese religious cults and then passed along to me demanding an answer to those conspiracy theories? Well, it's not me looking down on you or looking down on anyone. It is me asking, what in the holy hell is going on in America? And what in the holy hell is going on with this completely separate reality that so many of you are living in? And then in all caps, facts don't matter anymore. I continue the letter. I've asked repeatedly that we talk music, sports, friends, anything, children, not politics. And yet I keep getting emails that I am forced to ignore. Why didn't you ever send me emails about Donald Trump abandoning our Kurdish allies and turning Syria effectively over to Putin and the Iranians? That move was as consequential strategically as Joe Biden's colossal mess in Afghanistan, which I will note, I criticized harshly. But I did that because I criticize both sides. Why didn't I receive an email from you after January the 6th talking about how disturbed you were at Donald Trump's behavior? Why didn't I receive an email before the election when Donald Trump was behind in the polls and began demanding daily that his attorney general arrest his political opponent? That, my friend, is straight out of China. But no email then. But now I get this email because a general tried to keep our nervous enemies calm. Really? Where have your political emails been in our friendship for the past 5 years, when a guy I've known for over a decade was shredding political and constitutional norms? And yeah, let's get personal. I never got an email from you when he viciously attacked my wife, face-shaming her and calling her crazy. I got no emails from you after he accused me of murder 12 times and called for my imprisonment. And he did all this because I was a member of the media that criticized his COVID response. Seriously, what is up with you? Do you ever think that I would vote for a politician who attacked you like this and tried to get you executed? Please, don't try to justify this with a, yeah, I didn't like that, because you've already told me that you didn't like that. And yet you voted for and supported this guy who accused me of murder and wanted me executed. I ask you to please look inside yourself and ask, Why? Why should you be held to such a lower standard in our friendship? You know I would attack nonstop anyone who went after you or your family members. Would you be cool with me supporting Joe Biden if he face-shamed your wife? Or if he attacked your loved ones to 60 million people? Called your wife crazy and then accused you of murder a dozen times? Again, I ask, please stop and think about this. Because this is either a cult or you hate me. And I've known you long enough to know you don't hate me. And yet, I keep getting emails that attack General Milley, Joe Biden, or whoever else Donald Trump and his media allies tell you to attack. But remember, you never once sent me an email that actually criticized Donald Trump for his crazy views or his vicious and dangerous attacks on me that now requires 24-hour security for my family because of those tweets and because of those attacks. I will ask again, please do not send any political emails. I do not want to hear you attack the actions of any administration, especially when you gave the last administration a free ride for 4 years as he tried to move this country toward fascism. And please, I put in parentheses, look up the definition of fascism if you are offended by my political description of his views. And then ask yourself, why did you vote for a guy who wanted me jailed and executed? Why didn't you ever send emails criticizing Donald Trump, but you now think it's cool to send emails attacking his successor? I don't need your answers. I really don't. We've been through this before. I'm just asking you to answer those questions for yourself. Your friend, Joe. I don't get it. I really don't. These are people, again, that I grew up with in the church, that I grew up with in the conservative movement, that I grew up with in the Republican Party. We believed that we were governed by a creed. We lived by a code. We always put country above party. We would put family above politics. We'd put faith above all else. And yes, we'd put our neighbors above narcissistic politicians, and we'd put our family members above wannabe fascists. But too many of our friends and too many of our family members continue to be fixated on one thing. Not the future of the church, not the future of the conservative movement, not the future of my old party, the Republican Party. Instead, they are obsessed about the future of one man. Of one man. Can you believe that? We as a country have never fallen victim to this personality cult. But we're doing it now. And what makes it so troubling is that they're embracing a neo-fascist. Stay with me, please. And if you disagree with me, please let me know. But a neo-fascist who refused to call off the riots on January the 6th when his friends and allies begged him to, whose wife refused to do the same, whose children got in front of a microphone just at the foot of Capitol Hill and shouted, "We're coming for you," to members of Congress. And remember his close ally, Rudy Giuliani, telling the crowd that it was time to engage in combat justice? This is a neo-fascist who pushed his attorney general to arrest his political opponent and family 2 weeks before the election. That is a practice that's long been used, not just by fascist dictators, but by communist dictators. A neo-fascist who trashed American democracy and got your friends and your family and my friends and my family to trash American democracy as corrupt and rigged. All because he didn't win. All because he didn't win. It was corrupt and rigged, according to them, despite what 64 federal judges said, many of them Trump judges, despite what Trump's appointed justices on the U.S. Supreme Court said, despite what Rudy Giuliani admitted in a Pennsylvania federal courtroom. No, Your Honor, this case is not about fraud. Despite what every last recount has shown, one recount after another recount after another recount. Hell, even the cyber ninja turtles or whatever they call themselves, an organization run by a conspiracy theorist, they ended up finding out that Biden won Arizona for about the 14th time, but he actually won by more votes than the last recount had him winning by. And yet, my friends, and I would guess some of your friends, persist with these conspiracy theories about stolen elections, just like they persist about conspiracy theories regarding COVID, regarding vaccines, regarding Anthony Fauci, regarding doctors. I mean, hell, I have a friend who is a world-renowned doctor whose children and family members have always relied on him for advice. And yet, some of his family members refused to take the vaccine because of the conspiracy theories that they saw on the website, and because of this twisted, distorted view that by acknowledging COVID, by taking the vaccine that Donald Trump's administration helped develop, that they would be in some weird, strange way helping Joe Biden. And if you're a Donald Trump supporter like my friends and my family members, and like a lot of your friends and your family members, like the 75 million Americans who voted for him, American democracy is not about checks and balances. It's not about three separate but equal branches. It's not about free elections. It's not about fair elections. It's not about a peaceful transition from one president to the next. No, it's just a zero-sum game. Whatever helps Donald Trump is patriotic in their eyes. And whatever hurts Donald Trump, why, that's a communist plot. We've got to do better. We've got to reach them somehow, some way. We've got to reach the people we love. We've got to reach our neighbors. We've got to reach our relatives. We need to reach our coworkers and not get them to vote our way. I bet you if you're listening to me, I bet you and I would probably disagree on 50%, maybe 60, 70% of the issues that would go before Congress day in and day out. But I'll tell you what, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, chances are probably pretty damn good that, like me, you still have faith in Western democracy. Like me, you're not like some of these jackals that are running around bowing and scraping to illiberal leaders in foreign countries that are actually trashing Western-style democracy. Like me, you believe in checks and balances. Like me, you believe in the genius of the United States Constitution. Like me, you understand that that Constitution is based on good men and good women of goodwill, peacefully transferring power when their side lost. We're not there right now. We've got to get back to that place where we were before Donald Trump. And we need to do it soon. I'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the show. Very special guest with me today.
So special.
Mika Brzezinski.
Hi,
Mika,
everyone.
A lot of people called me, wrote me, emailed me from across the world. They absolutely loved your story about roadkill, serving roadkill to Pamela Harriman.
They loved that story?
They loved that story.
Okay.
I know it humiliated you, but they loved it. And so today, of course, you know, we work in a factory, Joe Pot Inc., and they're like 473 people that are all lined up at the panels, and they're all working. So it's like, you know, smokestacks, the whole thing. So this is a big deal. So we scheduled you coming in today. Mm-hmm. And I am getting to a point here.
Yeah.
We scheduled you to come in and talk about Deng Xiaoping because, you know, I think most 9, 10-year-old kids have had Deng Xiaoping over to their house to eat for the opening of American-China relations. I think most of us have. Roy Wetmore came over one time to my house. He lived across the street in Doraville.
That's nice.
Yeah, that was nice. But that's about it.
Well, we had Deng Xiaoping for dinner.
Yeah, but hold on a second, though. Before we get there, I wanted to explain to people that you're not operating right now. Like, you're not at 100%.
I'm definitely not.
No,
Not.
So I wanted. In fact, you're trying to stop from throwing up all over the microphone and me. Is that right?
I'm really working on not hurling.
So what happened? Why are you in this state?
Because I'm on antibiotics, and I thought I didn't take my morning one, and then I went on a really long run after doing the show solo.
Yeah.
And then I thought I missed it, so I took the second one.
Yeah.
But it was really, I thought it was the first one, and now I feel so sick.
Oh, my God. But you're still, because there are 473 people here working and smokestacks are going, and once you start the smokestacks at Joe Pot Inc., you can't stop them.
Yep.
You said, I'm gonna soldier through this, and I'm going to talk to Joe anyway.
Well, no, anything for you.
Oh, you're so sweet. So 2 questions
Yeah.
That I know the audience wants to know. Number 1, how long do you usually run every day?
5 to 7 miles.
I think that's unhealthy. But why do you do that?
Well, I love to run. I love to run. And I get the runner's high at the end, which is awesome.
Is that like a Doritos high? Because that's what I get.
You
in the
know,
morning
like when I
after
have
the
all
show.
this energy and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's because I've gone running, but I am trying to do more core as I'm getting older.
Yeah.
And so I run a few miles and then I end up at my mom's house and we do core in the garage together. And
Right.
it's really fun.
Right.
Bumba.
I'm
It's my Bumba time.
I'm usually on my second bag of Doritos by then. So, but you do core. That's very good. 5 to 7 miles. That's,
sometimes. Yep.
That's crazy.
I try and run every day.
Yeah. I try not to run every day, but you ran. So you forgot that you took this big pill, this antibiotic
big, fat
pill.
Antibiotic, yeah.
And you had not eaten. You took it on an empty stomach, and then you ran 5 to 7 miles in really hot weather.
And then I took another one.
Oh, you mean you accidentally took 2 antibiotics?
Yes.
Oh, my God. What are you doing?
I feel so sick.
Well, this leads to the second question, and a lot of listeners have written this question in. I see it's flashing up on our screen. I've got a jumbotron that flashes across the factory floor here, and I'm looking up at it right
Oh my God,
now.
Joe, just get to the
and
point.
everybody is asking the same question. So we answered the first question about the run. The second question is on antibiotics. Have you been taking more antibiotics since you met me?
No, this is the first time I've been on antibiotics in a couple years.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was just wondering if being around me required one to take more antibiotics.
You're not
or
a bacteria.
I've been called much worse. than
You're
that.
not a virus.
I've been called much worse than that.
Okay, well, you're not that to me.
Oh, that's sweet. Would you like
A lot
me?
of other people might think so.
I know
though.
you're fighting the gag reflex,
I
but
feel
would you
so
like me to
sick.
kiss you right now? Just like
No,
a deep,
God,
long
no.
kiss?
Stop.
Would you throw up all
Fuck,
over
but
me if I did?
I'm literally.
Is it
I'm gonna
the gag
leave.
reflex? How's the gag reflex working right now?
It's not good. Come on. Oh.
Would you? You know what? We've got, because it's a factory, of course. We've got the cafeteria. We passed it coming in. They have spicy burritos today.
Okay, we're obviously going to edit this all out.
Would
Joe,
you like a spicy burrito?
I'm leaving
I can
the
bring it
booth.
up right now. Some Mountain Dew, spicy burrito, taco,
Just stop.
hot dog.
You know you're going to edit this all out. Please stop.
I'm
Let's
editing
go.
nothing
Come
out.
on. Let's pod.
Okay, so you don't want anything to eat. So let's talk about though this dinner that I've heard about. President Carter told me about this dinner and confirmed what I had long heard about you and Deng Xiaoping's crotch. Why don't you tell me about the dinner?
First of all, the dinner was amazing.
Was it really?
My father was on the forefront of opening relations with China, and when Deng Xiaoping and his entourage came to the United States, there was, of course, going to be a state dinner.
Now, those are usually at the White House.
Exactly.
But Deng Xiaoping, Jimmy Carter tells me, had a different request.
Well, and my dad and he, cooked it up together that the Brzezinski family would welcome Deng Xiaoping and his entourage and any members of his family to our home in McLean, Virginia.
You got an old farmhouse.
An old farmhouse on Spring Hill Road. And my parents often had wonderful dinners there, as I told you, the roadkill story.
Yeah.
And so it was a really exciting night for our family.
Well, but wait a second. So this is pretty amazing. So when China reopened relations with the United States for the first time since 1949,
yeah.
Deng Xiaoping decided he didn't want to do it at the White House. He wanted to do it at the Brzezinski's farmhouse.
Yes, and I'm 12.
It's crazy. Is there any way you could even begin to realize how earth-shattering that event was in world history?
My dad actually did a really good job of explaining it to us, and he did a great job, especially communicating to me how remarkably special some of the things that we were witness to in our lives. And I remember flying in Marine One to Camp David. I remember being at Camp David.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah,
Jimmy
we'll
Carter
talk
in
about
a Speedo.
that later. But your dad was very good explaining this all to kind of like
how important it is.
Yeah, I had a similar thing happen in my household in 1970.
Great.
The Braves had just won the West for the first time in '69. And they
nice.
traded Joe Torre to the Cardinals. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand it. And so my dad, he sat me down in our two-bedroom apartment and explained it to me.
Well, that's cute too.
So it's kind of
George.
it's pretty much 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
I'm just saying I really
appreciated
appreciated what I was able to see and be a part of, and I tried very hard at a very young age to take it all in.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So what happened? Let's talk about the build-up to this night. So
that was awful.
So you're having this state dinner. It's changing the course of world history. How did it go off? Did you have wait staff? Did you have all of these people coming in to make sure that everything worked out just right?
As I've already shared, unfortunately, my mother didn't believe in much wait staff and help. And we cooked and we killed what we ate.
Yeah.
Literally, and my mother cooked incredible venison,
Now, for people that
turkey.
didn't hear the last story, your brothers would go out hunting with your dad.
Absolutely.
They'd kill deer, and there
turkey,
you were in
geese.
McLean. Is the glitzy suburb of Washington, D.C., where a lot of the power brokers lived and still live. And your mom your brothers would gut them, and then y'all would hang the deer up.
On the tree outside the house.
On the
beech
tree right outside the house in McLean.
Yes, but we didn't kill the deer in McLean. We actually drove out to Rappahannock County to do that. And so they'd go, a couple hours away, Marshall, Virginia. Right. My parents have a really cool hunting property and also friends out there who hunt. And so, often they would come home with a deer in the back of the truck or on top of the car, depending on the year, and we'd hang them out front. You have to hang the deer a bit. And then
I didn't know this, but I'm glad to know it now. As far as
I'd come home and there'd always be like a huge
Doraville.
deer hanging off the tree on top of the hill.
Sometimes geese.
Geese. Well, sometimes our own geese.
With their heads chopped off, hanging out for going to be dinner.
That was Lemon Lucius, and my brother Mark made the worst joke once.
Yeah.
Well, I came home from school, and it was like, hey, Mika, if you're looking for Lemon Lucius, they're hanging out back. And they were hanging.
How old were you, like 8 or 9?
My mom literally was done with them. Yeah. She was so done with all the goose poop, so we ate them.
Yeah. Well, it happens.
Yeah.
Happens. But anyway,
I enjoyed when I came home from school.
I want to follow up with, but I will not here because I value my current job. But go ahead.
Okay. No, I enjoyed coming home from school, and Lemon Lucius would be like, wah, 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 and they'd come up and they'd like point their beaks at me and then
cute.
run off. And
actually, there's nothing cute about geese.
My mom just ended it.
Yeah. Chopped their heads off.
Yeah.
Hung them up. Y'all ate them. How did they taste?
I actually, that was a meal I bowed out on.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, they taste a lot like chicken. So let's get back to Deng Xiaoping. He's coming to your house.
Oh, it's horrible.
Y'all have shot the deer. You've hung them up. They've been gutted.
We are so stressed.
They're ready.
No.
But you're stressed.
The White House is sweeping the house. My mom and dad are like having little skirmishes, which is always a sign that it's going to be a stressful night. My mom lit the fire, thought my dad had opened the flue. Mm-hmm. And so the house got completely overrun with smoke, and all the Secret Service ran out. This was hours before.
This is like the Beverly Hillbillies come to Washington.
It was so bad. Everyone was in arguments, and my mom opened a champagne bottle and hit my dad in the face with cork.
That's bad.
I mean, it was bad. It was really, really stressful.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, Deng Xiaoping.
Are you okay? You had to throw up?
No, I'm good.
Can you make it through this story?
He ultimately arrived.
So Deng Xiaoping arrives.
Yes, and we took coats, and it's wonderful.
I've seen the pictures. Richard Holbrooke's there. Cy Vance.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
All the top Chinese leaders. Everybody's around that little dining room table in McLean.
Yes, but before that, we had cocktails, and we had appetizers.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you were serving.
I served caviar.
Because your mom and dad wouldn't hire anybody to serve. They
I
had
served.
Your brothers
12-year-old
and you serving.
Yeah, 12-year-old me. I am literally the most awkward 12-year-old with just everything going wrong for her, as you could imagine.
I was actually worse, but anyway.
Nope, you can't be worse than me.
No, at 12, it was about as
bad
as it is now.
From 12 to about 29, 30, 40.
For me, was from 12 to 57,
I had
58.
a very long, awkward period.
So I'm still going through it. I'm hoping to get through it by the time I'm 65, 70.
You're
but
wonderful.
Tell me, so Deng Xiaoping, he's in there and you're serving caviar. This is exciting. So you're serving like the leader of one of the 2 or 3 great powers in the world at the time.
Yeah.
And the most important moment in U.S.-China relations since 1949.
Yep.
What happened?
If you can believe it, I tripped and I spilled it on him.
You spilled the caviar on Deng Xiaoping?
Yep. Right on his lap.
On his lap. Okay, so hold on now. So you're 12, you're serving Deng Xiaoping, and you trip and fall, and the caviar goes right on his crotch.
My parents really dislike when I tell this story.
Yeah, I know they do, and they should. But anyway, so you spilled it on his crotch. What did you do then?
I felt so bad. I started trying to wipe it off.
You tried to wipe.
It was and Cy Vance was sitting right next to him, and stop.
No crotch. You're trying to wipe it off his crotch.
No, I just was
12-year-old girl.
Pat, trying to wipe it off. But
So you weren't rubbing it. You were patting it down there.
Stop, Joe. Stop. But Cy Vance was sitting next to him, and he looked so disgusted.
I don't think
And I'm going to tell you what he was thinking.
What was he thinking?
Why don't the Brzezinskis get catered? Literally, what is it with their kids and their ugly kids? I don't want their ugly kids around. Seriously, they're stupid, surly teenagers. And Mika.
Caviar.
It really was a disaster.
It's not where you serve it. And they're thinking, is this a U.S. tradition?
No.
Where they eat their caviar?
So stupid.
No, it was bad. So you had a duty to mitigate. And when you spilled the caviar in the lap, you probably should have just stepped away. But you went right in there and tried to clean it up.
I will.
This was the low point, I think, in U.S.-China relations other than maybe Tiananmen Square.
Well, I'll
right?
be happy to tell you that the high point came within the same hour when we were all having a shot of vodka and doing a toast at the table, and it was a wonderful dinner. One of my parents' best. I was very proud of them and proud to be their daughter, and that story is just a small part of everything.
It says, listen, it was...
It's just
it was
a small
funny story.
part.
And I had heard the story a lot before. I didn't believe it until your father's funeral. When I went up to Jimmy Carter, I said, hey, how you doing? He goes, it's very good to see you. Hey, did you know that Mika Brzezinski once spilled caviar on Deng Xiaoping's lap? And so there you go. Also, by the way, he also let me know in that short period of time that you almost single-handedly derailed the Camp David peace accords when you and
I told you that was for another podcast.
daughter accidentally ran over Menachem Begin.
We were not too good with the golf carts.
We will talk about you running down Menachem Begin with a golf cart on the next Joe Scarborough podcast where we're going to get you here and you're going to be 100%.
Yeah.
But for now, let's go down to the cafeteria and they're Big Macs.
Oh.
We can stack a Big Mac on top of a Whopper, on top of a Wendy's. Have you ever had a Wendy's triple?
No, but quite honestly, Joe, while I don't want to talk about food, I will tell you I really like your podcast. You're really good at
That's
this.
very nice
You're
of
fun
you.
to talk to.
You're fun to talk to as well. We should
do something.
we should talk more. We should, I don't know. Let's get together sometime.
Enough talk.
Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Enough talk. Thanks for listening to the Joe Scarborough podcast. As always, it's an honor, really. No, seriously, it's an honor and a blessing. I got to go. I got to get her back home. She's not feeling well.